Sorry.
It's okay. Yep. So the yeah, so the resolution though, I guess you didn't, I don't know what happened, but that's not going to cut it. It's just too grainy. Yeah, but otherwise really nice in terms of the way it's sitting. Okay. Joyce, nice view. This is decent. It's a little, looks a little uphill, but it's okay, I think. The people look good. Maybe they're a little faint. I think this could be a little warmer if this is a highlight. Was there any white in the model? Like all the white's gone. It's very gray. So I think this could be, so again, you could capture this one part and make it white. And then put a warm yellow or just make it a warmer, closer to white color. Because all the, it's bright and sunny down here on the floor, but the whole building went gray somehow. So at least this part I would expect to be brighter and warmer. Okay, Joyce? All right, I'll take that as a yes. You guys could hear me okay? Okay, all right. You guys were just getting all fuzzy on me. I wasn't sure if my internet was cutting up. Paula's, so needs more work. The view is okay, I guess. If it drops down, we have to get rid of all this gray, probably.
Yeah.
It looks like it's climbing the mountains. So this might be okay, this background, but the whole thing has to come down. I don't think we'd want, yeah, it's like, it looks like a spaceship kind of taking off. Maybe if it's dropped down, depending on what the rest of the background looks like, it might be okay. And then you got dash lines. So those, what's that, Michael? Those dash lines. Is that just a, that's just, oh, there we go.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Once I zoomed in, it was all right. All right, it just kind of broke up at this distance. All right, so we got to drop the building and see if it's salvageable. Lilani, looks good. The background's intense, but so just drop the opacity of the background. I think it's okay. It's a little like we're climbing the mountain here, but I think I wouldn't, considering how difficult the background images have been, I would call that okay. People are good. Shadows are good. If we could lighten it up a little bit, because here in the shadows we could see through, we could see the boards. So these shadows are a little solid. We do want them as dark as that, but we also want to see the board. So you might have to use a different color for the shadows, perhaps. And this person is floating, so you want to maybe get to that puppet tool and pull that shadow underneath her foot. This one's good. Both right feet are good because they're up in the air. And always the shadow layer is below the person layer. So I can't, let's just zoom in a little bit there, because this is close to being good and a tricky issue for everybody. So right feet are good because they're in the air. So right foot, right shadow look good. It's not exactly clear what's happening here, but that's okay. So this shadow should not be on this side of her, right? Shadows only are on the far side. So you could just capture it. Yeah, you could probably just capture right here. I can't, it doesn't let me, I don't think I'm allowed to zoom in and draw at the same time. Kind of annoying. Capture this part of the shadow and just erase it, I think. Yeah, once I can't have everything. So all the shadows on the far side, and otherwise I think this woman on the right is done, and then right foot is okay, and let's just get this shadow. You might just, I don't know, either move the shadow or just expand the shadow to get underneath that foot. But otherwise I think the shadows look good. Just see if you could get them to be a little more transparent like these, so that we could see the boards going through them. But otherwise, I think that's close to done. Would you do anything, Michael, with the here, warm it up or no? I don't know.
I would give it a try.
Yeah.
I would also try a little bit of a gradient on it too. Just there's a little bit on that side, which I kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if anything, it's just because this is a big kind of blank building. So it would be nice to give it a little bit more warmth and
Oh, so make it more intense because I kind of dropped the opacity a bit because I thought it was getting too yellow.
Which part are you talking about?
The lighter one.
Here?
Because, yeah.
There is color in there?
Yeah, like at the very bottom, it's like the yellow part, and I faded it upwards into the white. But I did it pretty lightly.
pretty
too subtle.
Yeah, it's I can see it now that you've pointed it out.
Yeah, very subtle. I can't see it.
Yeah, I did my colors based off the yellow, but it was like a creamy yellow. So I dropped the opacity so it wouldn't be too yellow on the white building.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, it'll pick up a little bit more of that color of the deck and the surroundings. I think it reads together really well. I mean, I like your background too. I mean, it's almost like there's just a little bit of a problem over here on the right side where, it does look like we're flying a little bit. And,
yeah.
You might want to bring in a little bit more of a horizontal light.
Yeah. But I would lighten the background up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little intense. These people are good. You got
look really good.
Yeah, you got lucky that there's a table on the other side of them. It's not too distracting. This person's got a chair inside of her, but it's not too distracting. But
Right.
yeah, it's very close. Oh, there was one thing I wanted to do in Photoshop super quickly. Let me just keep moving. So this this lady here reminded me. So she has got the sun to her back, but she has a highlight on her forehead. This guy and this guy too here. So let me just do something quickly in Photoshop, and this guy too. So he needs to be in shadow. This side of her needs to be in shadow. The top, his shoulders and head need to be in shadow. And this is Abdullah's. Dramatic. They don't really agree. I don't know.
The perspective doesn't agree with the background.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? We're very flat and narrow on the deck, but then they're just like two different planes, kind of. So you might have to look for other backgrounds. It's very dramatic.
Yeah, so this is what I want to say. If it's possible to change the background.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Okay, thank you.
It's kind of nice, but they just don't agree. They're just a little too disjointed.
Yeah.
But it's a nice view. I don't know. It's a really long camera angle, isn't it? Like this round circle is really stretched. You might consider just in Photoshop. I wonder if you just crop it a little bit, bring us like you got all this wall over here. You could just bring us a little closer. All this is just extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also crop it in the end in InDesign, but since we'll be grading this as a Photoshop file, you probably want to do your cropping in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on its way, but yeah, search for backgrounds. And I'm going to talk just about the putting a person in shadow. Romina, so the yellow is a little got away from you. I don't know, it absorbed the benches. So I think it just needs to be toned down a little lighter. Get us back to white. We want to know that it's a white building. That's important.
It was on the previous submission, this one, so it's still very funky looking.
Oh, I don't remember seeing it. Okay. The background looks a little, there's no middle ground, No. So we have a little bit of a falling off the end of the world kind of feeling here. So search around for the background, or maybe, I don't know what's down here in the background. Maybe if it gets lifted up a little bit. Maybe. Depends what's there.
Yeah, there is room, there is ground underneath. So I'll just
take a look. And shadows are going, so no, the shadow's going the wrong way here. Oh, so I never talked about these, so this is an older one. Okay. Yeah, so you understand the shadow direction issue?
Yes, I fixed it on the
Okay.
first that I redid, so I have to redo this one too. I think
Okay.
I have a different one too, completely different.
Okay, all right.
Other thing.
Lyric, we talked about these. This was already submitted. Did you have any so this needs, this just, we said this lyric if you're there. So we said
just everything basically. The shadows and the furniture.
Yeah.
I misunderstood. I thought it was just like the background. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. As long as you understand. Essa, yeah, nice. Yeah, Essa, I think nailed both backgrounds in both images, and I like this. I like we're right here.
Yeah, that's a great view, and the perspective is aligning with
Yeah.
the background.
Yeah.
So it all looks like everything is fitting together. I'm not sure what's happening through that door, but I guess that's a little bit of background.
Yeah, it's a great view. I like the umbrella coming in. Yeah, it'd be tough to, I mean, you could try to get a person in here. That would really test your Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
And if you don't, yeah. But again, if you don't do things, I don't know, if you don't do them for this week, you know, when you get back to your portfolio in a future date, you might return to these. But then a person, yeah, maybe in the back here, we'll let you give it a shot. But yeah, it's great views and great backgrounds. The background's too intense, so just bring that down a little bit. But otherwise, it's looks interesting, looks promising. Yeah, and that's a good thing to think about for everybody with these SketchUp views, your foreground, your middle ground, your background. This is really nice. We're kind of sitting at the table here. And I really do like the umbrella.
Wow.
Yeah, the color's crazy, obviously, but the view is pretty good, I think, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a floating effect. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, again, the perspective of the background, the perspective of the image, the render match, but that can't be a real color, can it?
Is it?
If it is,
Tatiana?
we need to go in and change it because,
Yeah.
and it looks like you mirrored the image, which is only really, it's just a little bit in that foreground where it's a little bit noticeable.
Oh yeah, right here. Yeah. One mirrors to here, two mirror to there. So yeah, you could get rid of some of these in Photoshop. We could talk about that later. So again, here, so that's just a selection right there. And then erase the gray and get a shadow. So we have to get rid of this orange. So you could do that with an adjustment layer of the color saturation. We should be able to pull that out. So we could talk about that if you need help with that. So yeah, we'll make a draft. We'll take one more draft of these things, the second version. So we'll have one finished one for final grading on Monday or Sunday, and then we'll do one more draft for anything that's problematic. So submit your best one first, the one that you're most ready to call complete. And then if you need help with weird colors and things, we'll get to it next week, probably. Yeah, it is very symmetrical.
I don't know about you, David. The background doesn't bother me quite so much.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not too. Again,
although there is something go wrong here, like there's just a little thing where these don't quite match up. Like as we look all the way through that center door,
oh right,
we're seeing sky. We should be seeing mountain.
Yeah.
So
same here. Yeah.
Same thing there.
Yeah. So we could think of a way to either the mountain has to. So yeah.
Something is strange.
There should be a way to salvage that, though. We could come up with a creative solution, I think. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I don't, like in general, I don't know. Well, what do you think about this? I mean, would it help kill the symmetry if we chopped off a little bit? Because we see this whole mountain and we see this same thing here. Or you don't feel that's necessary?
No, I'm not, for some reason, in the background, aside from those two areas that aren't quite right, I don't mind the symmetry
Okay.
because the building is sitting asymmetrically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't, and the sky is blending well. So
Yeah.
I would, I don't think that's, and of course we need people in here.
Yeah. When you do the shadow, you might actually just get that polygonal lasso and do a little, you could make a tiny shadow runs right along here. Very, very skinny. Because there would be a shadow, being that this deck has some thickness, there would be a little shadow cast right there. So when you address this shadow, so it would be just, click one with, so this is the lasso, click 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and close. So you're going to have a shape that goes, it's going to be a very skinny line, but it'll right up against that edge. And it'll just, I think that would help a little bit.
Yeah.
To get that deck sitting down. All right. I think that's it. Okay, let me just do one thing super quick in Photoshop and then we'll be done with this. All right, let's go. Get this, I don't want this guy here. So where's my man? Let's get his opacity up. Yeah, so this guy should be in, so I never adjust this myself, right? So the sun is on his back, so he should not be so bright. If you bring down the opacity, it might not be as evident, but so I'm on his layer and brightness contrast right on top, and then right click, clipping mask, so it only affects him, and then just bring down his brightness. And then he's in shadow. So I forget whose it was, but somebody had 3 people there. Let me just see real quickly. This one, Abdullah. So she should not have a highlight on her face. This guy is in shadow. And then this guy,
That's tricky.
we should be able to just cut him in half, really. So if I, well, yeah, we'd have to kind of create a mask to do that. Let's see. Let's just quickly see what we could do, or not create a mask. If we just, let me just try one thing. Turn that off. If we get the lasso out, if I get a lasso out and I select his top half carefully, not like this. And then I make that, mask, brightness contrast. Yeah, so you can make the selection first, then it's only affecting that part of it. And so that's what that thing is, that little black thumbnail, that's a mask. And that just means you're doing it for a select area. They're kind of complicated, but this is all you need to know for now. So make the selection first, then then add the adjustment layer. And then that little mask right there is telling us that it's only affecting the selected area. So if you got somebody who's partially in shadow, that's the way to do it. All right. Okay. Any Photoshop questions?
Yes. I don't know if you remember that mine have this little gap in the roof. This is not Photoshop. I think I have to fix it in SketchUp first, but I was trying to, and once I was trying to do it was with the move tool, but it was distortionate and everything. Like I couldn't do it.
Why don't you
I have
share
to
your
share. Yeah, I have to share, but you want me to wait until you finish the class?
Yeah, we'll do it at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll save the share.
Yeah, I recall the problem. This is Powell, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that missing area is a really hard thing to fix in SketchUp. It was that gap. I don't know how it happened, but it's really hard to repair that.
Can it just be erased? Let me share it. I got it here.
I mean, I would at this point just do
Oh.
some surgery in Photoshop and not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
So we're talking about this ribbon up here?
Yeah. That filling that back in, how it got lost is really very difficult.
You just can't erase that ribbon?
Yeah, I guess that would be one workaround. Yeah.
If it
I
works.
was trying to move it back and
No.
make it a little bit bigger, but it was a complete mess. That's why I was waiting for this
No,
class to arrive.
I would agree with David. I think that actually your best bet is just to delete it. It may
Delete
need
that
to open
piece
a little
and do
bit.
it again.
Just
Yeah.
Delete the piece and then do it again.
or just let it go.
Yeah.
Oh,
just,
okay.
just delete
Just
it and
delete it and
re-render it.
move onwards.
Yeah. If it works, try to delete it while we're doing our thing, and then at the end of class we'll talk. And if it doesn't work, we could talk about salvaging it in Photoshop, which is possible. It's just going to take some time, but it's possible.
Yeah, but I agree with you, David. Yeah, that just delete it, and even if it's a little bit off, we're not going to know. We're not going to.
Yeah. Well, it depends
Okay.
what happens back here. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
it is exactly. I mean, big things could disappear or something. You know, it's weird.
Hopefully, it's.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do specific issues at the end of class. We'll try to save some time. All right, good. On Photoshop, it's all yours, Michael.
Okay, so what I'm going to do today is kind of quick. I went over it rather quickly the last time, but go over InDesign again. This time I do have my board completed, so I'll show you that. So what we're looking for as far as, what your board should look like. And what I'm going to do, there are a couple ways of doing this, is I'm actually going to try a different layout with the same board. So let me switch to sharing the screen. And just a second. And to log in. Oops, okay, that's not. Okay, so people can see this board. I've pretty much finished labeling it now, and this is what we're looking for as far as the different components being in place. And but I'm going to mess it up a little bit. Everyone recalls, like, the quick way. Right now, I'm in a preview mode in InDesign. As long as I'm not in the text tool, if I type W, you can see my stuff. This is the working view. And I tap W again, and that gives me a preview of what it's going to look like. I made one change. I really preferred the image I did where I made the public circulation green, the one down here. So I brought that image in, and I put the other image. I didn't delete it. I put it on my non-printing layer. I could delete it, but it's now sitting behind this one. So I can, if I go to this and I hide, and let's make it. Oh, right. I will only see it. I won't see it in preview mode because I've designated it as non-printing. So let me just type W. There we go. So this is what I had before. I like to keep a non-printing layer. I just want to make sure, like, I don't mess up. But I'll bring back the image that I prefer. And I could probably just delete this guy now, but I'll leave it in for the moment. So you can see these are my layers expanded here. A lot of text. Text is always on top. Images underneath text, and then I create a non-printing layer. Layers in InDesign tend to be a bit more straightforward than certainly they are in Photoshop. They're really just functional layers. And so this is something that I'll be looking, for you folks to do. So what I want to do now is let me make sure to save this file, save. Actually, I'll do a save as. And I will spell case study. And I will case study 1 and landscape. And save. Okay, now I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to do this live. Unlike some of the other things I've done where I've actually practiced it beforehand, today I'm just going to be wild and crazy and actually do this live. I'm going to try another layout, and I want you to get used to doing this because it's really fast, so I'm going to switch it to portrait orientation. So I did adjust layout, portrait. I could change other things as well. Hit OK. Oh, and it automatically adjusted everything, which is not really what I wanted. So let me not do that. That was an automatic feature. File. Let's edit, undo, adjust layout. And File. And instead, document setup. And hopefully this won't do everything to it. Okay, and I'm going to hit adjust layout. Let's see if this is going to do it. In this case, InDesign may be outsmarting me, which isn't hard. Okay, File, document setup. Portrait. Okay, that's what I wanted. To not automatic, it automatically squished it. And so in this case, I'm just going to start with moving this up. And let me grab this guy. And let's see, I feel like I have a lot less space in this particular orientation. So let me bring in this. And one of the things that happens with PNG, which this is a PNG file and also transparent in Photoshop, you see how the transparency continues in InDesign. But I don't know, I want to rearrange this. And I'm going to do something where I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to make it, I'm going to crop it. So I just can pull in the edge there. And I'm going to increase this one. And this is where I have to remember, hit Shift Control. And the Shift Control resizes both the bounding box and the image. And I'm going to, let's see, what else can I do here? I'm going to crop this. I don't like all this sand in the foreground. Like I mentioned earlier, it's like I usually do my cropping in InDesign. So it gives me, like, if I really wanted that extra sand for a composition, then maybe, you know, that would help. But you see, these are the parts that I'm cutting out. I'm not destroying. You see, the other thing I guess I want to do is, like, just like when we're in Photoshop, I don't want to be destructive. It's like if we crop the image in Photoshop, that extra sand, even if we don't like it, is gone forever. Whereas if I crop it in InDesign, it's still there. If I change my mind and I would like to include that, you know, I'm not completely up a creek. So let me just this up. And I'm just liking these columns being equal. And let me quickly do a W and see how this is looking. It's okay. I'm a little concerned that I'm a little too close to the margin over here. So I'm going to kind of I'm going to rearrange this a little bit faster. So let me grab these two guys. Oops. It's a little harder. I'm used to, like, thinking about selection tools in AutoCAD, and it's a little harder here. There. Let me grab this. I can move this diagram in. Okay, I feel, and really what needs to happen, I think I can move this guy up a little bit. And leave enough room at the bottom. So let me type W again. Leave enough room at the bottom to put in the identifying information. There's a little, maybe a little too much white space at the top, but okay. And again, I keep wanting to toggle the W so I can see, like, what do things look like? And am I satisfied with this? I can still work in the preview mode. So I'm just going to have that so that aligns with that edge. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have to, this line. Hold down the Shift key to select more than one thing. Move these guys up. I keep forgetting it's almost like AutoCAD, but not quite. Okay, so that is another layout. I feel like, oh, and these guys got moved when I didn't move them. These are the section lines, so you want to be able, you want to show those. Okay, escape. What I need to do, edit, undo, I need to lock my image layer so I don't move the images. That was what's giving me grief here. So shift, move this up. Pull this guy. I may want to put a guideline in there, but there we go. So another layout, another way of presenting this project. I feel like this bottom image needs to be centered. So let me unlock images. Let me try to grab everything here. Oh, this is where am I being a little sloppy.
Michael, can you group the text with an image, your annotation?
You know, yeah, let me try to do that. I think you can.
Yeah, I've never used
Although
it.
I've gotten it. And group.
Yeah. Especially, I was thinking about the other ones too. Those diagrams. There's so much text; it would be easy to make a mistake and leave something behind. And that's when it's always so heartbreaking when you print the thing actually, and then you realize you got a word off in left field or something.
Yeah, so I centered that bottom drawing a little bit better on the sheet. I think that looks better. What's the pleasure of the crowd?
Looks good to me.
So either way, I mean, we ordinarily, just a little bit about this is you can try either layout. I generally prefer landscape layout, but if we get into the world of actually printing this out, the poster size that we like is a portrait layout because it allows us to hang more images next to each other. So you can see it's pretty fast to do either. I mean, I went through this. I don't expect you guys to go quite as fast, but you can see I should have been timing myself. I very quickly went through and created another layout. Now I also have to remember to file, and I'm going to just do a file, save as. And I'm going to say portrait, which I want to spell correctly. And save. So that is what I wanted to just show you really fast. I still think I prefer the landscape orientation, but that's me. But either could work really well.
I like both of them. I keep wishing though that the renderings could be a little bit bigger, or maybe one of them could be bigger. At least they're so rich and beautiful. But the size of the plan makes sense. The size of the diagram makes sense. So I'm not saying like I don't know where you get that space from, but
yeah, that was, you see, and that's actually the advantage to a landscape orientation, because the page is more oriented to the orientation, the wide orientation of these renderings.
Yeah.
and just a side note, our portfolio pages, we almost always do them landscape orientation because most of your images are typically wider than they are high. So it generally leads to a better solution for a portfolio layout. And I want to show you one last thing. Let's say I don't like the spacing. Let me just like give a for instance. I don't like the spacing of the floor plan and the roof plan. I'm not going to do surgery on it in Photoshop. I can do it here. So let me, let's see, yes, it's unlocked. Let me ungroup this just so I can do ungroup. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and hopefully this is going to cooperate. And edit and copy and edit and paste in place. Okay. And let me make sure. And what I can do is I can now crop this down. And I've got two images. So I've just cropped this and I'm going to take this and this guy and holding down the shift key, I'm going to move this over. Okay. And I should have picked, and I'll just bring this guy in here. So you can see now, like, and what I wanted, what was bothering me a little bit was I wanted this to align with the side, with these guys up here. So there's actually a duplicate, two images. So I didn't have to go into Photoshop. I just created a duplicate, cropped them down, and moved them around as I needed to. So there's a lot you can do. Like, and again, I'm not doing any destructive editing in Photoshop. I'm like, you know, you know, that would have been a bit of an ordeal to change the spacing in Photoshop, but in InDesign, it's really not a problem. So that was a subtle difference, but I could move them further apart, just as a for instance. Let me grab that. Okay, I don't know if I like that, but you can see what I'm doing, I think. I hope. Let me just do W. So now you can kind of see what I've been up to. And here it's showing the cropping boxes and that these are linked images. So yeah, this into a guideline. And I keep keeping my eye down here. I want to see no errors. So that's good. Like it let me know, like it told me, and sometimes this thing about text can be wrong. It's telling me now like that some of my text is clipped off, but so I expand this and there it is. And the error goes away. Generally speaking, you want to have no errors. Okay. So just that's what I really want to introduce. And I could have done this with the other image, you know, I could have done this with other images as well. As far as, you know, changing the spacing, maybe I want these guys to be further apart. I don't really, but maybe that would be something I would want to do. So I'm going to save it. And remember, what we do is I'm going to switch to W now so I can see what it looks like in the preview mode. All right. And I'm going to go to File and Adobe PDF presets, high quality print, case study 1 portrait, and I'm going to hit save. There's going to be a dialog box. About the only thing I changed, because this helps make the file a little smaller, is instead of Acrobat 5, I go to Acrobat 8.9. And export. And that's what we'll want you to do, is to give us a PDF. So let me just see where that is. Okay. And let me, I am in Explorer. I want to be here. And there it is. So I get to see it now in Acrobat. And I'm kind of pleased with it. I should probably look at the other one. Okay, and I kind of look at these two. And you know, David, I think I agree with you. I would like to figure out a way of, I think the plan, as nice as they are in the section, they probably could be smaller and the rendering should be bigger. I'm not quite sure how to fix that, but I think that might be something I would want to do with this board.
Yeah, I like the band of the images, but and it, like in general, you know, typically a board would have like one primary image, and these images are all very equal.
Yeah, and I would, you know, that's a very good point, David, is exactly, you want to have what we call a key image. And I would make the argument that that key image is the one on the left.
Yeah.
Because that courtyard is really pretty exceptional. The exterior, not so much. And yeah, I would really look, and maybe I'll rework this when we take a break. Maybe not. Maybe I'll take a break as well.
Save it for the weekend, Michael.
Yeah, I got to do something over the weekend. I'm waiting for you guys to like bring us presents by midnight on Sunday. But yeah, I would take that. That would be my critique of this board, is that I would really want a key image to really stand out. And there's a lot more that's interesting and compelling in this image. This image is fun, but I think it could be a lot smaller and this could be a lot bigger. Yeah. And I think that, frankly, as lovely as these are, they're not mine, I think the floor plans and the roof plans could be smaller. They don't need to be this big. I think they'll read well a little smaller. And yeah, I definitely want to see that rendering a lot bigger.
Yeah, maybe they could be left to right. The main rendering and the floor plans could be the same. You could create 2 columns, maybe, rather than like you have 2 rows. Maybe if you did 2 columns. Yeah,
I think that's a really excellent feedback. That's exactly what I think I would do. I would reduce this and I would create 2 columns.
Yeah. Just because that top left image is so beautiful. I just want it to be bigger. I just want to see it better.
Yeah.
The colors are so rich.
Yeah, I completely agree. That would be my critique of this board. A minus. Just needs, it needs on any sheet. You want to do this. This is what Hollywood, or I call this when I do presentation, advanced presentation techniques, is what is, they call it the money shot. You know, what is that shot, that image that you're going to put on the poster and the previews, and you want people to know. You want people to see it. What's the really compelling image? And then there's all these other supporting images. So that's what this needs. It needs more of a hierarchy of the images. And I look at this and I think particularly the stuff on the bottom of the page is all very nice and looks good, could be smaller. So that's a bit of surgery that I'm not going to do in front of you, because that's going to be a little messy. But you know, it's with the advantage of having this digital paste up board, and you know, you can always undo your mistakes. You really, you know, you really almost can't do anything wrong. You could accidentally move the image and not move the text, or the image gets bigger or smaller and the text doesn't follow. But you know, those are some small problems that you can adjust pretty fast.
And I was telling the folks in 159 making our boards that you also want to think about the board when you're walking down the hall, that the board should be appealing at 15 feet, 5 feet, and 1 foot away. So like that big image is going to make us stop walking down the hall, and then, you know, we're going to come closer, see more, and then we got to get right up to it to see the plans. So the plans look good at this scale, but you know, the text and the plans are really for like when you're getting up close. You need a big image to really stop somebody in the hallway is the money shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that would be how, if this was a portfolio page, that's what I would be really pushing you to do. So good. So are there any questions about InDesign? Let's go back into InDesign. Really?
I have a question in regards to all the text.
Okay, good. There are questions.
So
Who's first, Hector? Hector, go ahead.
So with all the text that you have on this page here, like are we just copying that, or where are we getting that from?
Yeah,
So
you're going to
writing
copy.
out anything.
This is the, and the other thing is that you're also going to put at the bottom, wherever you think fits best, your name, the class, the instructors, the semester. So this is the name of this project, location, architect. You know, almost, I think this image could use a caption, and these guys. So this is the information you want to include. And you
That's,
can,
I'm sorry, I was just going to say that's in the file ADC 160 InDesign text, the PDF that Michael put in.
and I'll go over that. I just posted that.
Yeah, it says bottom of the board, your name and all the specific information. So copy that right out of that PDF. It has
Even the little words that are in the pictures, for example, like courtyard, program stuff, in the gray picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good. So,
Did you have Kira, did you have a question?
Yes. I just want to go over like the main tools you used.
mm-hmm. Well, let me switch back my view. The biggest thing in InDesign that I really want to emphasize is you want to constantly go back and forth between preview mode, which this is where we see what's going to print, and your working mode by typing the letter W. And so one of the tools that I used was resizing the image. And in order to resize the image evenly, I have to hold down the Shift key and the Option key, or the Alt key on a Windows computer. Oops, actually.
Okay.
Sorry, Shift and Control.
So the workspace and the model space is just like that's like paper space on AutoCAD, right?
It's a lot like, it is a similar thing. It's like working in InDesign is like working in paper spaces where you do your layout. Like, so what's cool about this is if I want to work on I'm linking to my Photoshop image. So if I want to continue to edit Photoshop, I just click on this image, right click. I think actually a double click might even start me editing it, but I'm going to edit original. Oh, well, that's weird. Okay. I don't know where that message came from, but here it is. So here's my original image. And, you know, there's a little bit like, it's subtle. Like this was rendering, which we're going to go over next in Lumion. I just kept the ground plain. So it just looks like flat sand going off to the distance. Then it helps me keep my horizon. And then I brought in this high resolution image. Anyway, so I can just go back and forth. Do I want to change anything? I don't really want to. I'm embarrassed. This is I did this very quickly and I didn't do all the nice things that David told you to do. I killed pixels. I did lots of bad things. So I don't want to reveal, like, you know, let me add a little bit to this guy, the background image. Oops, I have to move this. And I'm going to add an adjustment layer. And I am going to go to hue saturation. If I think the background is a little too vibrant, I'm going to take the saturation down. Can you see how that's getting much grayer?
Yeah.
I found, you know, maybe I kind of liked it fairly vibrant, but I didn't want it to call so much attention to itself. So that's like a quick thing, and then I'm going to save it. Nice thing is, as we've been teaching you, David and I haven't destroyed anything. I just added an adjustment layer. And now I go back to InDesign. And it's subtle. That change I made was subtle. I should have probably made a more dramatic change, but I think people can see that this is a lot less vibrant, this background, which is maybe what I want.
On Photoshop is going to automatically update on InDesign.
Yep. Exactly. So your analogy that working in InDesign, at least the way we're setting it up and want you to work with it, is a lot like working in Paperspace in AutoCAD. This is where you do the layout, where you add the text,
right.
You make things look good. And then the actual work is happening back in InDesign. You know, you just have to be mindful of, you know, some of these little things, like I got to adjust this guy. So, yeah, I don't know if I like that particular change, but all I have to do is click and go back. So it's really nice to be able to do that with InDesign, so that, you know, and my only thing is, like, I hope you guys will do this too, that you can kind of play with this and futz over this till the end of time, till the cows come home. But eventually you do want to get something that's presentable. So, okay. Other questions?
Did you go over how to do the diagrams on the side?
What I basically did was I gave you the diagrams they're a file that I posted, a SketchUp file. And they're, all I ask is that you actually change the colors in SketchUp.
I think there's actually a class recording that we did the letters and we changed the colors and everything.
Yeah, and I actually, what I would do is I would actually leave out, given I know that the end of the process is going to be in design, that I would say, no, I'm going to do all of my lettering in InDesign, not in Photoshop. So that way, if I make the picture bigger or smaller, my text will stay consistent. Even if I use the same typeface, I'm kind of uptight. I only like a couple typefaces. I really like Garamond up here for my serif typeface and titles. And I really like Myriad for the rest of the text. That's just a preference of mine. You know, you just don't want text that's too goofy. But yeah, so we did a bunch. We even did a little bit in Illustrator just for the heck of it. Okay. Any other questions? Great, so we'll
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm a little bit confused about which one is this work exactly, because we have this in Canva saying draft submission board in InDesign. Is this one this, right?
Yeah.
But
So
there is another
this is a
thing.
final one, then you'll do a final one. So I want
Oh,
you to do this so that I can give you feedback.
yeah.
Okay.
This is a draft, but there is another
is a
thing
draft.
called case study 2 project selection. That
Yeah,
is.
we got to go over that. That's all.
Oh.
We've got a lot. We've got you folks doing an awful lot this weekend.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, you have to select your final project too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just selecting the second project. So you just have to review the 5 projects, and maybe we'll flip through them quickly again, Michael, perhaps.
Yeah.
And answer any questions about them and just give you our 2 cents. They're all very equal, so it's really just a decision as to which house is the most appealing to you. You're going to spend the rest of the semester working on it, so give them a good look, but it's not a tedious assignment. That should be an enjoyable look at some nice houses. And then this gets saved as a PDF, right, Michael? That's a simple print or an export, or how do you?
File export.
File export.
I was PDF, Adobe PDF presets, high quality print.
Yeah.
I could use these other guys, but this seems to be the best balance, high quality print, which I've already done, yeah. And it already exists, but I'm going to save over it. Replace, yes. Oh, it's open. Yeah, the problem is the PDF is open in Acrobat, so I've got to close it there. Come on. Close all tabs. And file. Presets, high quality print. Portrait, save. I could have saved it as another name, but I'm going to save it. Exists, yes. Adjust it up to Adobe 8.9.
I have a question too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for our draft, should we do this setup that we did today or the one from last time?
It's your choice. Portrait or landscape.
Yeah.
Either way.
Either one is good. Okay.
Either one. I favor the landscape, but that's just me. Because the big image that you're going to have is that you're putting a lot of sweat into is going to be these perspectives. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. I'm going to go over project selection, and then I'm going to give you a very fast, just to actually tempt you and to tease you with using Lumion, this rendering technique, to create what's going on, particularly in this upper image. So let's see, it is now 3:20, so at 3:35. Okay. that. And here's my share. I will pause. Okay, so you've got a lot coming up for this weekend. So you have final floor plan and section is due. One rendering is due, and we're giving them a little more time for the second rendering.
Yeah, I'll change those points now and make another box before the end of class. I'll do that.
Okay, great. And your draft InDesign poster is due. The draft, the points count less. I want to see where you've gotten. This gives me an opportunity next week. Like if there's stuff I really feel like I have to go over, that way I'll know. So that's why. So I'll look forward to seeing them. But I've established you might as well start laying it out, even if you're not done with your renderings yet. And I'll be more interested in the layout than actually looking at your images. But it'll be nice to see them linked. And obviously, if you keep saving them as the same Photoshop file, they will just update in InDesign. So the other thing,
I was just going to say, so the priority is to get everything on the board. Definitely, all the pieces of the puzzle have to be on it, and the layout could begin.
I have a question, a quick question. When we're importing the file from Photoshop into InDesign, that's being imported as what type of file?
It's not actually being linked. It's a link. So it is not, it's actually, we're calling file, it's called, you go into file and place, and then it establishes a link to your Photoshop file. So what you're doing is you're placing your actual Photoshop file. You don't have to output your Photoshop file as a PNG file. You don't need to go through that step. You can actually just have your live connection to Photoshop.
If we already have them as a PNG, we can do that?
If it's a high resolution PNG, that's fine. But if you're going to continue working on it, you might as well make it a link to your Photoshop file.
Okay.
Yeah, because it won't update automatically.
It won't update. I mean, if you save it, it will update. If you save it as another PNG file with the exact same name, then there might be a little warning or a little icon that'll come up in InDesign that says this file has changed. Do you want to do something about it? But when it's, that is one of the advantages. You can start working on the layout while you're continuing to get some of the other things finished.
And just,
are you able to drag and drop the file, like the layer itself?
Yeah, I really prefer you could. I find that gets kind of messy. I like to go, I guess I should switch screens for a second. I like to go file, place.
Okay.
File and place. You could drag and drop. The problem is when I drop it, it breaks. It kind of goes, it doesn't quite sometimes go the way I want it to. When I do the place, I can just it's really clear. I pick this corner, I pick this corner.
And you can
I can get more easily what I want. But yeah, you could. It's a little, the dragging and dropping is dragging and dropping. It's a little it's a little messy. It can be a little messy, at least by my standards. Okay.
I just wanted to emphasize the point that once you start doing this, you have to keep, you don't want to change the file names and you don't want to change the locations. Just keep everything where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was I could be a model for you as far as really keeping things together. I have them in two places. I either have everything in a folder, in my SketchUp files, everything in a folder called Case Study 1, Desert Visitor Center. But I also have a bunch of images in a folder in renderings. So I basically have those two places I have my stuff for this project.
I've been organizing my files on Bridge.
Yeah, Bridge is great.
I think that's very helpful.
Bridge is fantastic. I'm actually going to go into Bridge now to just go over one more time the your selection of your final case studies. So Let's see, what else was there? What was I going to do? There are other questions.
Maybe for the second project, maybe we, Michael or Hector, could show us what it looks like in Bridge. I've never organized in Bridge. I don't know what that means. Maybe for the second.
Bridge is so easy to use. It's awesome. I love it. It
sounds very appealing. Maybe for the second project, we could spend some time next week or and go over that one more time. I'd like to learn a little more. Organization is so important. Once these things start piling up, you waste your own time without it.
Right.
And Bridge is all about getting organized. I would love to say that I've organized it a little bit, but I haven't. But actually, I'm going to launch into Bridge. So I'm going to switch now, share screen, go to remote desktop.
And as Michael said, you're paying for it already. We're all paying for it. So
might as well use it.
Use it, learn it, love it.
So there are a bunch of different views you can have in Bridge. Is everyone seeing my Bridge? This is the first image. And here they are, and I can adjust the size of the images in the preview. For some reason, these have ratings on them that I didn't give them, but that might have been downloaded with the tagged files. So I like really, if I can just go into a quick view. Come on, why is this? And I was having a little problem before break with this not responding. And I was actually going to do it in the Mac OS instead of, for some reason, Bridge is not responding to me. Let me try it again. Bridge. Don't know what that was about. Hopefully this time it will be cool. Come on, come on. Work with me. Not responding. Again, this is frustrating. Well, let me, I have an alternate plan. I have to get up and, oh, here we go. It should be a lot more responsive than that. Okay, let me go into view slideshow. So this is the first one. This is probably the trickiest one because there's all these kind of diagonal geometries. So everyone can see this?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just doing slideshow within Bridge, and I could have arranged these a little bit. I didn't. So I've just got an automatic advancing slideshow, which is very helpful for showing you these projects.
So if you have questions about these, ask now if you're not clear on anything. These are our case studies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the first one, an aluminum cabin in Scandinavia. I can't remember which Scandinavian country right now.
That's pretty interesting that they chose that material for that location.
Yeah. I think it's for, to use a favored word of a colleague, it's for the juxtaposition of the rocky green surroundings and then this crystalline
like
house, cabin.
Yeah, that's
same with our desert shelter, the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, you're going to have to find a home for these. You're going to be finding background images. Something.
I think what's hard for that is the reflection of wherever you place it on. You have to kind of have a reflection on it.
Good point. We could do that. We could do that in Photoshop.
You can do it in Photoshop, and we can definitely do it in Lumion.
Okay.
Yeah, this one will probably be pretty stunning in Lumion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big fan of this house. I would never want to live in something that looked like a, I don't know, metal tank. But I can imagine beautiful Lumion renderings definitely from it.
So I'm just showing, these are all the photos.
I love how clean everything is.
Those Scandinavians.
Sex.
So there's the plan, actually.
Are we recording, by the way?
Yes, we are. So here's the overall plan. This kind of, you know, fractured diagonal geometry. One of the sections. Site plan.
Those are nice drawings to add. Site plans can be really nice.
Particularly for this project. In fact, what this needs is
Yeah.
that we know that this is water here. So that would be really helpful to have that added in, do a little bit of tone on trees and some of the other features in the site plan. Okay, so we're gonna go.
Is there a drawing on that, how the fireplace is sitting like that?
No.
That's so cool.
Suspended.
Yeah, it's like cool to see like the actual structure, I guess.
Okay, slideshow, view, slideshow. We can't preview the Word document, but I actually copied and pasted the information from the article. So here's the floor plan of this. It's got an interesting little, I'm gonna just pause, kind of little notch that's taken out of this simple A-frame in the back here. This is actually, this looks simple, but this is going to be a challenge, some of a challenge to model.
Can you go back to that one more time? And so just Hector, talking about your 159 project, these columns that were cut through. So we have the columns flanking it on the right and the left, and then it goes into the dashed lines. That's exactly what I was describing for your project in 159. We cut through that arch. So we see the columns that are cut, and then the dashed lines are telling us what's going on overhead.
It goes all the way through, dashed lines all the way through to the building.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, towards the end of the.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
I particularly like this one. David and I both said that maybe this is the one we would probably want to live in.
Mm-hmm. Details are nice too. That'd be a nice addition to the board.
And there's just a simplicity and drama to this that I just really like.
That would be a strange feeling, like sleeping and living in that exposed to the whole world out there.
Right.
I actually once, except that there's nothing but farmland around it, but I actually once in Maine was in a very modern cabin, and it was like being in a goldfish bowl.
Yeah.
It was a little weird.
Was this Australia?
It's in Australia, yeah. It's near, I think, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. It's in the middle of a farm.
The deck is sitting up off the ground there. It's nice.
So for Sunday, we're just choosing which one of these.
That's right.
Actually, okay.
You just put it into whatever file format you want. Just say, you know, your name and which you're choosing.
And next week we'll go over inserting the drawings into CAD to get that ball rolling, probably.
Right. Yep.
Some of you, that'll be the first step. It's really going to be the same procedure that we just ran through with this project. So first step, this one, you're going to be putting the plans and the drawings into CAD yourself and scaling them. So that's an important lesson, a little tricky. So we'll probably do that on Tuesday or Thursday next week.
So it's just a Word document that said which building and then send it.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll plan on doing that on Tuesday so that we could troubleshoot it on Thursday if people don't have it, so that then over the weekend you could get started on the CAD work. Maybe we'll do a quick Tuesday scaling lesson. And that is in one of my videos that we'll point out.
This one. Anyway, and let me now go to, this is the most dramatic one. Oh, there we go. View slideshow. Can't see anything here. overall black and white view of the site. There's the little tiny house in this cliff. These are some axonometrics that were done. And then a lot of moody views of this. This is on the coast of Chile. I think we've got something from almost every continent for this particular project. It wasn't my intention, but
It's interesting that they built it on the edge of the cliff like that.
right. And it's fairly relentless. It's all reinforced concrete, which doesn't make it feel exactly like it might be the most comfy place to actually live, but maybe it's just a place people come for the day.
Oh, wow.
Still really dramatic interiors.
Definitely has like very unique textures.
Yeah.
That could be beautiful in Lumion too.
Yeah.
Is this thing actually furnished? Yeah, it is, I guess.
Well, I think just for the photograph, I really get the impression it just doesn't look, you know, I mean, I think it's like the most minimal kind of, not minimal, but, you know, not terribly inhabited house.
Sparse. There's glass up there?
Yeah.
Who would want to live on the edge of a cliff like that?
Oh, I might.
For a little while, vacation. Oh, I like that little window at the bottom right there.
You're hiding from someone.
Cool. Let's go to this one. And everyone might take this. Oh, all right. Downloading. All righty. This one's kind of cool. It's got a diagram, and there's also a little piece. This is in Mexico, in a rainforest, I believe, not far from Mexico City, 50 kilometers from Mexico City. This is meant to be another kind of getaway. Whoops, I accidentally opened this in Photoshop. I did not mean to do that. I wanted to go to View, Slideshow. And this model is really helpful in understanding some of the play with the geometry going on here. There's a lot of photos of this I made. I'm going to speed this one up just a little bit. A lot of drawings came with this. So this is a reinforced concrete structure. Elevations, roof plan, another section, a lot of sections, site. Just quickly check on this one here. Yeah, the floor plan here is a little, well, this is all glass wall, reinforced concrete, punched windows, glass along here. Doesn't really show how they open, but okay. Let me go back to bridge. Presentation. Whoops. Too many. Okay. And the last one. Okay. So this is a courtyard house in Spain. Small town in Spain. Very blank to the street, opens up to the courtyard, and has a lot of interesting skylights.
Stairs are cool.
Yeah.
They are not code compliant though, or the handrails are not.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no small children should be in this house. Yeah, the Europeans do wacky things with stairs that we can't get away with around here, and railings.
That is treacherous right there.
It is pretty scary.
If we
What
do
makes
this
it not
have to
code
make, we have,
compliant?
do we
I'm kind
have,
of confused on that. What you meant by that?
What's that?
You said that with the steps wasn't code compliant, you said?
The railings, you can't have
Railings.
railings that are open like that. And that's what Michael said, small children, a small child would just fall right through that, especially, I mean, the stairs, but even on the second floor, that's crazy. I mean, you could just do nice clean glass. It would cost a small fortune, but
Or a mesh, perhaps.
mesh, yeah.
Yeah, this
if
children
we're
fall.
peaking this project, would we change that or would
Yeah,
we just as is, right?
As is, yeah. Again, it's a case study. It's not yours, so.
Yeah, well, you'll make it very clear. This is a case study. It's not your design. This is a house built in Spain.
I like the black bars, how they meet the ceiling there.
Yeah.
Railings come up.
No, it's very attractive.
Oh, and the wood, yeah, and the stairs run right over the wood in the back there, over the casework.
So, these are the 5 to choose from. They're loaded. Let me just switch for a second. And
if time permits, Michael, we might get inside in SketchUp.
yes.
An
Oh, yeah.
interior view. Yeah, that should be a goal. We stayed on the outside because the inside of this desert thing isn't too exciting, really. All the actions on the outside, really. But here we'll try to get inside.
So I'm going to stop sharing and new share screen, share. Okay, so I just am in the student view of our Canvas site. So here it is. This is your project selection assignment. Okay, and you basically submit a Word or PDF document to us. And here we go into this. So here, this document, this launches you to case study 2, houses from plans under 100 square meters, 1,000 square feet, 30 useful examples. And then this takes you actually, so you can access the files on Canvas. So I've downloaded them all. And you can grab them from here and download them, which you should do. That's the other step. So once you've picked it, download those images. And let me go back. Okay. Let's see. So here's the assignment. This is what's due. So this is this Sunday draft submission of your 18 by 24 poster. And this is just for your reference. This is the board that I did in PDF format, which is going to take a moment to load here. And here is the assignment. Which just goes into a little bit more about the use of text. It repeats some of the things that are in the assignment, but also gives you some font combination suggestions. Okay, so that's guiding you around the stuff that's coming up. So what I'd like to do is to whet your appetite, is to look at like rendering. If there, first of all, are there any questions? Because so you're selecting your project and then you're going to download the images from Canvas or from Architecture Daily, ArcDaily. You've got your other things that are due, and the draft layout that you're going to produce a PDF of from InDesign. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is I'm going to switch my view. Let's hope this all should go fairly fast. So I am stopping the share. I'm going to start a new share. Share the screen. Back to this. Switch. Okay, so we're back here. Minimize bridge, minimize Photoshop, minimize InDesign. Okay. And what I'm doing, this seems really, I'm connected now to our really high power computers on the campus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my SketchUp file. Whoops, I don't want that. I want type. Oh, OneDrive, presentation techniques, case study 1. Here we go. So I'm going to open SketchUp, my SketchUp file. It's going to take a minute, and that's okay. I'm saving it as the older version. Okay, so here we go. Here is a view that's a lot like the views you guys have been doing. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to launch synchronizing with a renderer called Lumion. And there is a plugin right in SketchUp, which is really helpful, that I don't have to do anything. I just have to hit a button, which starts what they call live sync with SketchUp. We'll start Lumion.
And we intend to make this a requirement for the second project. We intend to do that. So if you really have time, it's optional now. I'd be surprised if you get to it in the next week, but you might.
And I'll show you how you can either get Lumion for yourself if you have a powerful enough computer, or how we've been accessing the college's computers. Okay, here it goes. So for this particular project, I actually want a really neutral background. So I'm going to pick, when in the startup screen, white and a plain sky. Ordinarily, I wouldn't do that, but for this project, that's what I want to do. And then I need to wait for a second here. Okay, and here we get an environment that looks a lot like SketchUp. I'm going to go now, this is the main control panel down here when I'm working in this. You can see it's relatively small, but there's a lot of things going on here. And what I have to do now is I have to place the model. So I'm going to hit place. And I'm going to, there, you can see it coming in now. There it is. So I'm just going to drag it in. I'm going to stop placing. And I'm going to switch back to SketchUp. And what I'm going to do now is I have to kick this a little hard. I'm going to stop the camera synchronization, and then I'm going to start it again and hope that works. Yeah, so now I've got the same view. Setting up views in Lumion is really tedious. So this gives me my SketchUp view. What's really cool about this is I can keep working in SketchUp. So your workflow isn't like, oh, I have to have everything finished before I go to try things out in Lumion. Is you can work between the two with this synchronization. So it's really helpful.
So the starting and the stopping and the starting of the camera got you into your view?
Yes.
Did you know that or discover it? How did you figure that out? I
discovered it by accident. I kept getting so frustrated that what's this? The demo videos show this live sync thing going on, and I finally just hit the darn thing a couple times to get it to work, and it worked. Yeah. So I have to stop it and start it, and then it'll give me the view, and then I'll be able to get all the other views and the scenes that I've saved. So it's really nice because it gives you this kind of transparent workflow. So I could continue working in SketchUp, but I've got all of my modeling done. There's no more that I'm going to do. I also should have gone over applying materials, but the materials in this are fairly simple. Okay, so I really, for this particular project, it really depends on the projects. I won't have time to show you others. For this particular project, we're not going to do a lot in Lumion except render. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some people. So I go over here to place. I go to the little people icon. And I'm going to go to people 2D. And they're a lot like the Photoshop rendering. So I'll take this woman walking away from us off into the desert. So I'll click on her and drag her in and place her so, walking away. These are not high resolution, so generally speaking, place them at a distance. And I could bring in a fair number of people, but I'm not going to do too many. Let me just see, one more. So it'll seem like these folks are together, bravely heading out into the desert.
So there are three-dimensional people. Those are the ones that are moving.
They look like, if anyone has done Sim City or The Sims, they don't look very good. Okay. They might be okay in the distance, but up close they look horrendous. They look like they're not good. There also are silhouettes. I mean, let me bring in a silhouette. 2D and 3D silhouettes. I'll just do this to bring.
Silhouettes could be nice because it's really for scale.
Yeah.
That's the main purpose.
So I'll just, let me put in a few silhouettes.
Yeah.
And there is fortunately a seated person. I don't have, it's a little tricky placing this. All right. That's enough, people. Okay. So I'm ready now. I just picked the select button, so I stop putting things in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch modes. Now, ordinarily in another project, I would add a lot more entourage. I could put coffee cups on the table. I could bring in furniture. I could do plants and trees. There are no plants and trees on the site. It's the middle of the desert. There's nothing much to bring in. And I'm going to switch modes now. You can see the big icon. The build icon is where you're actually adding things to the model. And I'm going to switch to the photo. And I'm going to make sure this is a snapshot. And I'm going to use, for this one, because we're facing north and east, I am going to use not this style, custom style, but a particular style, dawn. There. Wow, we're looking off into the rising sun. I could adjust this a little bit. I want to raise my point of view a little bit. So I'm going to move up.
And you didn't find any mountains or backgrounds that you like?
There's not background. There's no provision for background images. There's a way of actually molding the terrain, but it doesn't look very good. It also looks like something from the Flintstones. So yeah, I deliberately am leaving this really neutral so it'll be easy to Photoshop in the background, which is what I did with these images.
Are there decent backgrounds for other projects?
Not, gently rolling hills you can do, things like that. I can show you some of the demo projects, but really for this, it's going to do some of the work you would do in Photoshop, but it's not going to do all of it. It could do a certain amount, but I'm going to keep the sky neutral, no clouds, so it's easily selected, so you can pick it up with the Magic Wand tool relatively easily in Photoshop. And what I want to do now is I'm going to get an image. I'm going to render the photo. So I could render a batch, but I'm going to render one. These are the different resolutions. I wish there were more choices. I'm going to do, you might as well use the highest resolution, but this is just a test. So I'm going to use print resolution. This is about the scale we've been using, about 4,000 pixels. And what is going on here? I want to go to documents, renderings, this, and I am going to call it sunrise 99. And I'm going to hit save. And the thing that's extraordinary is how fast this renderer is. So this is going to take me 30 seconds. A really high resolution rendering would take a couple minutes. That's it. Which, if you've used any other renderer, is absolutely astonishing as far as speed and the quality of the render that you get. The preview is only so-so. It gives you an idea, but it's not perfect.
So I guess for this project, the Lumion is not mandatory, but if we can fit it in, we can try,
exactly.
Right? And that's like maybe next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll show you how to access the college computers and see if you're having any trouble. So if, I'd like, folks maybe to just check it out. So I'm just going
to try and do it if I get far along with whatever we need this week.
So I'm going to open it up, open the folder, and I've got a lot of images here. Let me do this.
If you have time, it's worth it. It'd be a great addition to your portfolio. And then you got Lumion on your resume.
And a lot of places are using Lumion. I mean, it's not perfect, but let me see. I'm going to open this now. It's a JPEG file. I could have, I'm going to make sure I open this with Photoshop. And there we go. So here's the rendered image. So it's done a lot of the hard work. In fact, this would be almost, I don't know, David, impossible in Photoshop.
Yeah.
To do these long trailing off shadows from these figures here.
Far above my pay grade, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that.
And that's the furniture.
Would we be able to add the background here at this stage, or it's not?
Yeah, in Photoshop.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's really just like adding the background. I mean, just you can do this now. Select magic wand.
Yeah, I would add the people in Lumion for those shadows, but I actually don't care for those completely black silhouettes in this.
Yeah, you can make them translucent.
Yeah, that would be
There's
better.
an option to make them translucent.
Yeah, they're a little too heavy, I think. Fully black. In this particular rendering, they just stand out kind of like sore thumbs. The people are decent. Do you know if the silhouettes cast shadows, Michael?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah. In fact, we could go back and take a look at that in a moment. So this is the beginnings of, so you would then select this and then put a background image, which is what I did with some of mine. Let me just, rather than do it here and embarrass myself in front of David.
No.
File, let's see, window.
So I guess we can try and do one rendering with Lumion on this project, right? If we can.
Yes, just one.
Yeah.
Let me see, where is it?
And are the sun settings carried in from SketchUp? You had this low sun setting that set in SketchUp?
No, this actually forces the sun to be sunrise.
Okay.
Let me see. Sunrise in the desert, PSD, that's what I want. Here. So this is the one that I was working on before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really crude. It just has really, I did it very fast. So you can get some idea of, how you refine it from here. So let's see. And let me go back and let's just take a look. So I have to get into build mode. And let's say I'm going to move this guy. And I can transparency.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So you can see it previewing the transparency.
Yeah.
Shadow on. So yeah, you get this nice control with these silhouette figures.
Yeah.
I've put this poor seated person in the wall. So
Yeah. I mean, I love the people in Photoshop, but just in order to take care of the shadows, it's appealing to do it here.
Yeah. And one of the real limitations is there's not a huge library of people that I think are any good. They have a lot of 3D people. I mean, I can just briefly show you the 3D people place. I have to remember to hit place. Women 3D, men 3D. There's a lot of them.
So
Let me bring in this guy. But he doesn't look good.
And they move, right?
Oh yeah, so you can do animations, which I've not done with Lumion. So yeah, so there are a couple.
Bring one close so we can see him up front. Get a face. Can you? Yeah.
Yikes.
They look like those movies when they try and bring a person in.
I could turn him around. It's a little tricky. Rotate.
Yeah, but sometimes people have done renderings with these people and they just look so.
They're terrible. Your best thing is the silhouette or the 2D people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have him turn toward the camera. It's kind of weird. Go
It's
back.
amazingly, yeah, it's amazingly simple though. I mean, you've been going over it again and again. You know it, Michael. So it's not as nothing's as easy as you make it look. But it's for what you get, it is relatively simple. I mean, compared to Revit and.
Oh, compared to any other rendering software I've come across, there is a learning curve, but it's very short. And I can show you actually some interior renderings that I've done. I doubt we'll get to them today, but I want to see what this guy looks like. So I'm going to render these two with having added him and the guy in shadow and silhouette. So quick render, it doesn't really matter. Print. Let me do a PNG file and desert dawn. I've been doing a lot. I've been trying a lot of different settings and now maybe the moody light's going to help with this. I don't know. It may make it less annoying, the figures, but.
Yeah, I thought when he was in shadow, his face was in shadow. He didn't look too bad, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it is nice that he has the sun. He has a highlight on him. So
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I like his gown. It's just the face.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see now in a second. And again, like you folks haven't done this, but I'm used to renderings. I mean, taking an incredible amount of time. Particularly, there are a lot of faces in this. So I'm going to open this. Desert Dawn, 100. Ooh, why is that so much higher in number? Oh, because I'm doing a PNG file, which is what you want to do. You want to get a higher resolution than a JPEG. And let me open that. Well, you know, because his face is in shadow, he's not terrible. The silhouette guy is a little strange, but he is casting a shadow.
Yeah. But his shadow doesn't meet his feet properly. It's strange.
No, it doesn't. I don't know. I probably should have done a 2D figure and cast a shadow. He's actually a 3D silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but this is, let me do one last one and see if I can, handle any questions. So let me go back in here and have we lost the link? Don't know. Here we go. Let me go back to Lumion. Okay, so I think this is actually the sun angle that came out of SketchUp. I could be wrong. It doesn't preview it very well, but I'm going to do a quick rendering of this. I'm going to drop this in here as a new camera. I am going to do realistic style. Okay. And let's see what happens. I'll just do desktop. So it's and desert sunrise 101 and save. And then we'll take a look. This preview only gives us part of the story. So this, I believe, has taken my sun angle from SketchUp. I could be wrong. And let's see. That's not bad. I mean, the background really is, well, we are in the desert after all. The guy looks a little dorky now that we see him in the light.
Yeah. The shadows are a little crisper. Like in the other ones, the shadows are beautiful, but this is more realistic. Like I don't think like the other ones, the shadows are so diffused that I don't find them too believable.
They're a little atmospheric. This is one of the settings that you can play with, which I haven't.
Oh.
That this creates a crisper. This particular rendering, which is the one that I use most of the time, This particular combination of styles,
Yeah.
realistic is what I use most of the time. There's also a couple non-photorealistic styles which are very cool. They don't look good for this project, but they can look really good in other projects. Let me just actually bring one of those in. Watercolor. And so it gives you a more abstract look. I don't think it's very good for this project. For some projects, it's really nice. Desktop. Color. Save. So much more stylized. I've liked it for some projects. I don't love it for this one, but you can still, let me just look at that. Yeah, same view, different rendering style. I don't like it for this project, but some projects, particularly interiors projects, can look really good. People get a little carried away, but there are a couple non-photorealistic rendering styles which can be, you know, kind of nice to use. So you can check out Lumion. You can connect to our campus computers. Let me show you what that's like. There's really 2 steps and we're running a little long, but you're still seeing my desktop, I hope. It's a little pokey. Okay. So yeah, you can search Lumion student. And you can go through a few steps to figure out, you know, how to get a 1-year license. There's also a trial. Yeah, we have just a moment. How you would access our campus computers is on.
Just start interrupt. Hector, that's the museum you have to look at, the Mercedes-Benz Museum. Hector's doing something with automobiles, and that's fascinating museum.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
That was Coupe Himmelblau, I think. Anyway, great, a wonderful building.
Yeah.
Let me see, what was I about to do here? Oh, okay, let me get back here. Stop share and share screen and desktop 1 and okay, so your connection is sitting on this is how you connect to the CCP computers. There's really 2 steps we won't be able to get into, but these are the 2 files: remote connection to CCP computers, and then the other thing is you have to configure and use and synchronize OneDrive, which is supplied through the college, and that'll enable you to sync your files between your home computer and the college's computer. So this takes us come on. Here we go. Remote access. And okay, it's already scrolled down for me, but you have to go way down to our computers are under W21. Way down here. And then you pick a computer that's available. These are all of our suites. So we have all of our computers are available to connect to. I'm already connected, so I'm not going to do it, but you click on the connect button. You have to download this file. I'm not going to go through, but this is the connection. And then, and for the Windows users, you have to download, I'm sorry, Mac users, you have to download Microsoft Remote Desktop for this to work. And then you log in, and there's an explanation about how to do this at the top. All the way at the top. Come on. Arr.
Lumion is free on the school computers.
Yeah, the problem is it can't run, it may not be able to run on your home computer. It needs a good graphics card and a lot of memory. But
Okay.
these are the instructions. So connecting from Windows, connecting from a Mac, they're at the very top of this page, remote access. And the other thing that you have to do, which I leave to you because it's a little bit different depending on your setup, is you have to configure this thing called OneDrive, which will back up your computer files to the cloud and will also allow you to synchronize between your home computer and the college's computer. And that is the link that I'm going to show back here. Home.
This will run on your computer the way Michael's doing it now.
It should.
Yeah, remoting in is okay, but back to what Kira was saying was it's free, but then you have to download it and your computer runs it. This way the school computer's running it.
And you really want that because the school computer has an $700 to $800 graphics card, 32 gigs of memory, a super fast processor. So that's what makes like even a complex model just go, you know, the highest level rendering, which you would use for a poster, that'll take 2 or 3 minutes using our college computers, which is amazingly fast. So let me just go. So this is the one you're going to have to read because each of you is different. This takes you to a Microsoft help site. And this is how you would sync files with OneDrive. And it'll also tell you down here if you need to do it with Mac OS. So this is the best that I can do as far as helping you work. My testimony is I've been doing this since midsummer, and it's worked really well for me. I have a very old computer. The computer I'm working on at home is a 10-year-old iMac. It's still running, it's still working, but it's slow. It's an old computer. But when I'm connected to these computers at the college, I am, doing blazing fast work. So, you can't see it. I just switched you can't see what I'm doing. I switched back to my other desktop.
And besides wanting you to try Lumion, we want you to access the school's computer. So when you go into Studio 3, for instance, if you are more set up or at least aware of and able to utilize it.
Yeah, one little note is when you log on to the college computers, you're going to be forced to sign into Adobe. Make sure you click not your personal account, but the college account. We have all of the Adobe software loaded on the college computers, but you're going to create a new account for using it on the college computers. I didn't really go over that. So, but you could go right into Lumion and you're going to be using SketchUp Pro. The other thing you have to remember is if you make changes to your file, and let me just stop sharing and switch shares, share screen. So I am jumping back to this. And so I've got a lot of things open. So this is SketchUp Pro 2020. I always have to remember if I make any changes, I have to go to Save As, and I have to go down and save as 2017 so I can open it on my free version. It's gonna say already exists, and I'm gonna say replace it. So it's a little, it took me, the other thing is I made this look all super easy and super fast. This took me a while to get used to it. That's why we'd like you to test the waters now. So to begin to get, because it was very confusing for me to have my files in the cloud, on my local computer, and on a college computer all at the same time. That was kind of trippy for me. And now I've gotten used to it, and I quite like it. I like, you know, if I'm using, honestly, I put off buying a new computer because of this remote desktop. It's just like there's every software we could possibly use on our school computers. They're fast, they're configured by IT, everything is working. So it's just, it's a solution that I understand, you know, wanting to be able to do everything locally on your computer, but once you get used to this, this can be a very powerful way of taking advantage of hardware that costs $3,000 and software that is many, many thousands of dollars more. So.
Great. Any questions? We'll start wrapping it up. I pushed the second rendering back to due just before Thursday's class, like 1 o'clock. So class is at 2, it's due at 1 o'clock on Thursday. So I'm not gonna have a chance to grade it, but we'll flip through them quickly on Thursday. Yeah, so we can see them.
Okay.
Questions, anybody? All right, have a good and productive weekend.
Oh, yeah, I do have a question.
Okay, everybody,
You.
yeah, you're free to go. It is late, but you can stick around with any questions too. So
Thank you.
have a good and productive weekend.
Thank you.
Question?
Yes, so I'm gonna share my screen to okay.
Can you share?
Yeah, I think
You should be able to share. Yeah. Okay.
You see it now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is 2017.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. Right here, I can see the scenes from 2020. It's a little bit slow because of the furniture, but I cannot see the tags in this side.
Tags are layers now.
Yeah,
in the older version.
layers.
So you would have to go into window, just make sure, and flip up instructor. I really don't even like instructor. It's not very informative. So the little arrow next to instructor, click on that. It's pointing down. Point it. No, don't. Let's just make that small. So where go over to where it says instructor.
On the right side of your screen.
On the right side of the screen. And just click on that triangle so it disappears. No, you had it right a moment ago. There. Okay. So now you go to window. You should be able to go to window and default tray. And you can go to layers and scenes. You can turn those back on.
There you go.
They're called layers in older versions. They're called tags for some reason in the new version.
Okay.
And there they are. And you can also turn on scenes again on the side view.
Okay. What about this? So
yeah, show us from the top. Show us what it looks like from the top. Just move. Just pan.
Okay.
Or Michael, you could take over the computer now, can't you?
I could.
Yeah, kind of slow. So I'm just gonna explode it, right?
Don't explode it. Don't explode it. No, don't do it. We just want to look closer. We just want to look closer.
We just want to see it.
see what's going on here.
Select it, yeah.
So what I would do is, it is a component, which is the way we taught you how to do it. And from our particular view, we're not going to care. It's not exactly right. So I would now edit the component now that we can see it. So click on it, edit component. And then click on that band, which looks like it's just free floating now. Double click. Yeah, delete it.
Yeah.
Just delete it.
Yeah, it's slow.
No, that's fine. And that's it. That should clean up things. Your roof isn't exactly right, but we're not going to see that. So it's going to look okay. So if you go back to your interior view, everything should look okay. Or it should look good. It should look decent. So just, yeah, go click on the interior final tab or whichever one you like. No, we want the interior view because we want to see what we've just done.
Oh, I'm in interior final.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We really, there's a little mistake in there, but we're not going to know.
Okay.
We're not going to worry about it.
I have another question. This one is about AutoCAD.
Yeah.
Finish. So, for a reason, I cannot see the dash lines in paper space. If you see them right there, they're dash lines in here, but when I change it to paper space, it's not showing up.
We're looking at
You're not showing, you're showing a SketchUp still, not AutoCAD.
Okay.
You have
So
to switch your share.
Yeah, so that's the LT scale issue. And you're still recording, Michael?
okay, so I have